Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Level Up Your Mental. My name is Ariel and I'm a licensed mental health counselor. And today I wanted to talk about timelines and how having a timeline can affect your mental health. And I have a quote here that I would just like to read. And I don't know if this is necessarily a quote or an excerpt, I'm not sure, but I got it off of Pinterest and I thought it would be relatable to the topic that I am speaking about today. So it says, on feeling behind in life. You're not behind in life. There's no schedule or timetable that we must follow. It's all made up. Wherever you are right now is exactly where you need to be. 7 billion people can't do everything exactly the same scheduled order. We are all different with a variety of needs and goals. Some get married early, some get married late, while others don't get married at all. What is early? What is late? Compared with whom? Compared with what? Some might want children, others don't. Some want a career, others enjoy taking care of a house and having children. Your life is not on anyone else's schedule. Don't beat yourself up for where you are right now. It's your timeline, not anyone else's, and nothing is off schedule. And I feel like that ending is so important. It's your timeline, not anyone else's. Nothing is off schedule. There is no schedule. Of course, there are things in life that, yes, you do need to be mindful about. For women, yes, after the age of 35, they tell us that it is considered a geriatric pregnancy. And that is because there could be complications. There could be things happening to the baby, to us. We don't know. Yes, those are things to be mindful about. But things like when I used to teach my high school students, I used to tell them all the time, make sure that you go to prom, make sure that you enjoy homecoming, make sure that you enjoy all the aspects that it comes with being a teen and being in high school. Do not rush your life to get to be an adult. You will be an adult when the time gets there. When you turn 18, 19, 20, you will be able to fully embrace all that stuff. But please enjoy the things that are happening right now, because you can't go back. You can't wake up at 30 years old and be like, oh, I miss prom, I miss homecoming, I want to go back and go do it again. No, it's not going to happen. Now, there are other things in life like, yeah, maybe you decided you wanted to go to college. You can get that out and knock it out in 2 years. You can do that later on in life. Yes, that is something I've seen happen. People 60 something years old, 70 years old, go back to school because it is a goal that they always wanted to accomplish. Those are things like, yeah, you can go back and you can go do. But you have to be mindful that there is no timeline in life. Things are going to happen in the time that it's going to happen. You can plan all you want, you can push and set yourself up in the right position, but there might be something that throws it off, and you have to learn how to adjust and to be able to understand that something didn't go in the way that you wanted it to, but that's okay. Now, what do I do with that time to be able to be ready for when that time does come for me? You have to be able to have that mindset of, okay, it's not happening right now, but it could still happen. So how do I keep pushing forward? Even for my own self, right? Growing up, my family, not that we didn't have much, but we weren't well off. We didn't have, a lot of people in my family didn't have houses. We were all in apartments, taking care of each other, living in these little apartments and being able to support each other. But now that my parents were able to work hard and do the things that they were supposed to do, they were able to retire and build a house for themselves, and now they're enjoying it. So yes, we want things to happen the time that we want it to, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it might work out that way. And a lot of times when we set up this timeline for ourselves, it tends to create more pressure on us. It tends to affect our mental health. It creates more anxiety. It creates more stress, and that doesn't help. And so we need to understand that, yeah, we can have goals, we can have aspirations, we can have a specific age or whatever that we want things to get done. But just be mindful and be in the back of your mind that, okay, this might not work out the way that I wanted to. Or if this does not work out the way that I wanted to, what's my backup plan? Or how do I address this in a different way? How do I work through the patience and just understand that I just have to wait a little bit longer for this thing to come true? And, when you have this timeline, the anxiety that you feel of constantly questioning if you're always falling behind, feeling like you're stuck or unsure about your next steps, getting overwhelmed because you're stressed trying to figure it all out. without having clear goals. Sometimes we know exactly where we want to get to, but we don't even know the steps to get there. And so we're stressing ourselves out trying to get there. And then not to forget, we also have the pressures of social media, the internet, that is constantly reminding us of people and lives that we would like for ourselves, or, comparing ourselves to the next person. Sometimes our friends might get opportunities before we do, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we are less deserving or they are less deserving or whatever, more deserving. It's just the way that things work out. Maybe that person started before you and they started getting things done, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to happen for you. It's just not happening in the time that you would want it to. I think, a lot of social media and internet, especially now, is that, a lot of people are seeing these lives that they want for themselves, but we also don't know what people are experiencing outside of these cameras. They're only showing us just a small part of their life. We don't know exactly the trials and tribulation that they have been through. We don't know what they're doing behind the scenes to be able to have that life, right? Especially now with the way that the stories and stuff is coming out about these celebrities that we grew up with, and we're starting to see the life that they had and what it took for them to get there. And for some of us, that's something that we're just like, I wouldn't be able to do that. But this is the reality of it, right? We don't know what it takes for somebody to get to where they are. Some people don't do things the right way, and we're sitting here like, oh my God, I want that life. We don't know what it takes to get to that life, right? So we have to be able to focus on ourselves and focus on the goals that we need to accomplish. Sometimes, comparing yourself in the pace that you're going through in your life, in the timeline between you and someone else's, creates a lot of self-esteem issues, and it makes you feel inadequate when it really shouldn't. You are worthy. Everybody's life is worthy. Everybody's life is on different paths. I try to compare it in a way of like, you could hop on this highway and say, yep, I'm going to take this straight way and I'm gonna get to my goal because I'm gonna go down this path and I'm gonna make sure I do it. But you don't know if there is a pothole on that road, if there is glass shattered on that road and it pops your tire and now you have to pull over and fix it. You don't know if your car runs out of gas and a light turns on and now you got to pull over and get it adjusted. You don't know if that road gets blocked and now you have to take a detour and be able to adjust to it. We don't know. Life is always going to be lifing. We don't know what's going to happen. You could have all things planned out and boom, something happens and now it deters you. And for some people, that's very hard to adjust. But like I've said in the previous video, you have to learn to accept where your life is at and learn how to make adjustments to it. It doesn't mean that this thing is never going to happen. It just means that something has come as a challenge and you can either let it build you and get more resilient with it, or you can let it beat you down and you can just take in all the negativity and not get to where you need to get to. Because sometimes we make our thoughts bigger than who we are, and our thoughts are just our thoughts. We have to learn how to move through these things and understand that life is going to happen in the time that it's going to happen. It's not, in the perfect way that we want it to. We would love for life to work out the way it wanted to, right? We would love to be able to find the love of our life, have kids, get married, get a perfect house, perfect job, everything just perfect. But nothing in life is perfect and nothing works out exactly how somebody wanted to be. I think another perfect example for me, and as I say perfect, I think another example that would be for me is seeing how Tabitha Brown is now getting all of the accolades that she is getting now. And she said herself, I had to keep pushing through. I knew my time was coming. I just didn't know when. And that's the whole point, is remembering to keep that positivity within yourself. I know that this is a job that I want. I know that I will get to that point, but it's the when, for some people, it's like, I want it now. Well, maybe that now is not, the time. Sometimes the universe, God, whatever it is that you believe in, doesn't think that you're ready. You may think that you're ready, but maybe you're just not ready to address those things. It's the same thing as if you didn't get the house that you wanted, or maybe you didn't get a house period because your credit score, your money, whatever it is the case, right? Maybe you just weren't ready for that yet. Do you know what amount of work it takes to have a home? Do you know the amount of work it takes to be a parent? Do you know the amount of work it takes to have your own business? These are all things that, we see all the stuff that comes from it, but it is hard work. And if you're not ready for that challenge, you're going to set yourself up to go into something that you're not ready for and then create more mental health issues for yourself because you're just not ready and you didn't have the patience to wait and to be able to just go through the motions and deal with those challenges. So by the time that you get to those goals, you know how to deal with things, you know how to manage things, and it's not too stressful for you. So I just want people to just be aware and understand that we create these timelines based off of what society thinks for us and what we think for us and what our own cultures and our families think for us. And that's the other thing too, making sure that we are accepting of the life that we want. We're not going based off of what our family and our friends are expecting for us. Like I always say, it's your life. You're living it. Your family and everybody else is not living it for you. If your family is pressuring you to have kids, are they going to be there to help you take care of the kids? Being a parent is a big job. That is a lifetime job. Once you get into it, it's not like once your kid becomes an adult, you're not a parent anymore. If anything, they need you more when you're an adult or when they're an adult, because there's so many things that you have to adjust to as an adult. So be mindful when you go into these roles that these are things that are going to be forever changing for you. And if you're not ready for them, that's going to be a challenge. Don't pressure yourself to get into something because you think society wants you to be in a certain place, or your family, your culture, whatever wants you to be in a certain place. Now, I'm not saying don't be respectful of those things. You can. There are a lot of people where their families build legacies and they want them to get into these things. But if you're not able to hold a job, why would I expect for you to go into an entrepreneur role to hold a family job if you can't be there for yourself in a regular job? It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, our families and everybody else wants best for us and they set up these things for us, but is that what we want at the end of the day? And I know for some people it could be a thing of disappointing your family and getting into these hard conversations and being uncomfortable, but that's part of life. We have to have hard conversations. We have to deal with things. But at the end of the day, you want to be happy. You don't want to live a life full with regret and resentment against other people because you're not living the way that you want to be. So understand that, yeah, you can create a timeline for yourself. You can set goals for yourself, but do what's best for you, not based off of what you see online and what you expect other people or what other people are expecting of you, right? You know, address the fear of wasting time and how it contributes to stress and burnout. You know, it contributes to you being stressed out, you having to deal with things, right? Get rid of the pressure of trying to achieve everything by a certain age or by a certain time frame, by a certain stage of life. We don't know where life is going to take us. Sometimes we fall into things. We don't, intentionally do things and then we happen to have them. It's just what happens, right? It's not like one day you just wake up and you say, well, I want anxiety, I want depression. No, things in your life will affect you. Sometimes you'll go through things and now you're in sometimes you'll go through stuff and then you'll end up, having traumatic, experiences, and now that affects you. These most recent incidences with the planes and everything else, or the people who lost their homes in the fire, or people here that lost their homes in hurricanes, you think that they knew that that was going to happen? No. But do you think that now those things have now taken them a step back from the things that they've wanted to do and the goals that they had? Probably. The people who had homes, a lot of them thought that their homes were going to be able to make it. They've never experienced something like that. And so now they're having to adjust to that, making plans for that. And, for some people, those type of things can affect them so much that it creates a big problem for them. And sometimes we have to just be understanding that there is no timeline, and you will find peace once you realize there's not a timeline. You have to embrace your unique journey. Everybody's journey is different. Just because you and your best friend came from the same town and you guys are alike, that doesn't mean that your life is going to go the same. Doesn't mean that you're going to have kids at the same time. And you create the pressure of, okay, she found somebody and they're going to get married. Now I have to go find someone so our babies can be at the same time. Sure, that would be perfect. But now you're pressuring yourself to go find something and create a timeline, the same thing as somebody else, because of what they got going on. You have to remember to take care of yourself first. Set personal milestones rather than comparing yourself to the social expectations and social timelines that they have for us. It's a lot of pressure to keep up in these things, and we have to be mindful of that. Focus on growth, not on deadlines. These things that you go through are going to make you grow. They're going to make you bigger as a person, but you have to be willing to accept that and understand that. Just because you went through a relationship or a marriage and you guys were married 5-10 plus years and it didn't work out, doesn't mean it was failed. It was good for you at that time. You learned something and now you can take those things with you into the future. We need to be able to understand that life is going to have a few bumps in the road. and that's okay. You got to learn how to adjust. You have to learn how to accept life for what it is and what's going on. And that will make it a little bit easier to get through. Because the more that you don't, the more resistance, and then the more negative stuff is going to keep happening. You're going to have a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. And those are already human emotions that we go through. So why make it a little bit harder on yourself? Understand that, again, it's your journey, your timeline, not anyone else's. And nothing is off schedule. It all works out when it needs to. And you will get to the point that you want to get to, or whatever goal that you set for yourself, when it is the time. So I do want to thank you guys for watching another video. Please join in on the comments. Let me know if there's any other topics that you would like me to talk about. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.